Okay, let's get into it. We have a ton of news and information to go over. Obviously, the tensions and issues here in the Middle East are causing havoc with markets, especially here in the United States. The stock market over the last few days has lost over $3 trillion. This is going to spill over to the crypto market and other things, as well as we got some recent jobs data, and it's just absolutely terrible. So, we're going to go through this bit by bit. I'm going to give you as much detail as I can to help you understand kind of where I think this is all heading. The current, let me just get into it, man. This information's always hard to go over and communicate. And in a perfect world, we wouldn't be here right now, but unfortunately we are, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And in gas. The price of oil is already over $90 a barrel. As every $10 that oil rises, unfortunately, it makes CPI inflation go higher. And so, in a world where we're hoping for lower rates, where money becomes cheaper, where people go out and borrow and put that into risk assets, we might not even get that opportunity here in a few months with Trump's new Fed chair coming in, because things are just spiraling. So let me go through this data, because it like I said, is going to directly impact you, and there's no way to kind of sugarcoat what's happening. I just need to get into it, and I will try to answer as many questions as I go through this. So just taking a look here where we are before we get started. XRP is at $1.36. Bitcoin is up 3% in the past 7 days, but in the last 24 hours, it is down 3.6%. So most of the gains that we saw earlier this week, some of them have been ate up already. Obviously, it's not all totally gone, but where people thought the market was kind of turning around, now we're kind of heading back into this issue. Now, I did want to say it was a historic moment for Kraken. Kraken was the first company that was granted a Federal Reserve master account. Now, this is a skinny master account, but still, Kraken can now kind of process transactions in the Federal Reserve system, which is really incredible. I would imagine this is going to pave the way for companies like Ripple and the rest of the companies that have applied for these Fed master accounts to get them. And this was just a big historic moment for crypto. I did want to, before we get into kind of the news about what's going on with oil and all that stuff, bank trades are coming out against the Kraken FX master account approval. Bank policy says that the Kansas City Fed front ran the board's public comment period and violated policy, and are seeking public comment when it intends to make significant changes to the payment systems. And the ICBA, on behalf of the nation's community bank, says that they are very concerned the approvals because they see crypto as a risk. So the banks here are pushing back on Kraken's approval here from the OCC. We don't really know how all this is going to unfold, but banks are doing whatever they can to stop this. Now, a pulse check on the crypto market structure from a handful of conversations in the crypto industry. First, on yield, the ball appears to be in Senator Thom Tillis's court. The North Carolina Republican was shaping up to be a holdout in January when the Banking GOP committee was preparing for a markup of the Clarity Act amendments from Tillis and Senator Brooks that restricted the scope of stablecoin rewards issued by crypto firms, were later cited by Coinbase as one of the several reasons it withdrew its bill from the support. Now, the White House has shared legislative text with Tillis's office, which has been meeting with the industry and White House reps in recent days, with talks described as moving in the right direction. This tracks with the earlier reporting that there never may be a eureka moment where the crypto and banks reach a full agreement and ride off into the sunset. Instead, it looks like language is being drafted around minimum both sides can tolerate, with the ultimate goal of quickly getting something back into the banking committee and get the ball rolling again. And so the banks are kind of pulling their support for the Clarity Act. They do not want it to happen, and we are going to see what happens here. Now, let's talk about what's going to directly affect your bottom line. If you have money in this crypto market, if you have money in the stock market, you need to listen up, because this is, this is where we are. All right. So how high will inflation go? According to a recent Fed study, every $10 rally in oil prices can increase inflation by 20 basis points. Oil has already surged from $55 a barrel over this morning. When I recorded a video, it was $92 a barrel. implying 60 now basis points of inflation pressure. That could put CPI inflation from 2.4% to now actually 3% in just under a week, which is insane. When oil prices rise above $90 per barrel, inflation becomes hotter, with 3.2% inflation expected at $95 per barrel, which we should be approaching any day now. Our chart here indicates, so this is kind of showing you where CPI inflation will land depending how expensive oil is. Right now, we're probably in this area here close to $95 a barrel. Let me see. How much is oil? Let me see if we have an update on this really quickly. Hold on. I know this morning when I was looking, it was 92. Hold on one second here. Gold. Yeah, here you go. Oil prices officially post their largest weekly gain on record in data going back to 1982. Look at that. What is that? 92, 202, 22. This is what, 40 something years of data. 43 years of data. It's never been this bad. Love to see that. The Dow Jones Industrial ended the week 1,500 points lower than the week previously. All right, but that's not what I wanted to show you. One second here. There you go. This is what I wanted to show you here 5 minutes ago. So this was posted earlier today. This was March 6th, 7:46 a.m., over $92 a barrel. Okay, so that's where we are right now with oil prices, and this is what we are heading into here. The U.S. economy is entering the worst possible scenario. 800 billion wiped out in the stock market. They opened today in one session. That's on top of the $2 trillion already gone this week. You add those together, we're just under $3 trillion in losses in the last 5 days. Ouch. But the stock market crash is not the real problem. The real problem is what's coming next. It's stagflation. Here's what it means in simple words. Prices will go up, inflation. You mix inflation with tariffs, and you got a recipe for whatever we're about to go through. Economy goes down, recession, jobs disappear, which we got some terrible jobs numbers earlier today, and everything costs more at the same time. Here's what's happening right now. Oil was $70 5 days ago. It's already now above 92 and climbing. Qatar says it could hit $150 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Remember, if oil hits $150, that goes, your inflation goes from what, 2.4 to 4.3%. 2 points of inflation in just a few weeks. Remember, everything is going to be more expensive. When oil prices go up, everything goes up. Gas, food, shipping, heating, medicine, plastics, every product you touch has oil in its supply chain. And the Fed is now trapped. They can't lower rates because inflation is rising. They can't raise rates because the economy is collapsing. There is no good move left. Every option makes something worse. The last time America had stagflation was the 1970s. Unemployment hit 9%. Inflation hit 14%. It took over a decade to recover. And this time it looks worse. So you still have the war going on. Even if the war ended today, it would take weeks to months to get the oil capacity back up to what it was before all of this started. And we are just 8 days in. You already have a housing market issue here in the United States where 500,000 more homes are for sale than buyers. It's been pretty bad for the last few years. It's even worse now. The job market is already breaking as well. And this is a bigger problem here as people run out of traditional stock markets around the world and they go into bonds. So take a look at this. Global markets are showing signals that many investors are ignoring. Look at the current backdrop. The US 10-year yield is 4.15%, levels not seen since the mid-2000s. The Chinese 10-year is 1.78%, climbing steadily. The Japanese 10-year yield is above 2%, a major shift for Japan. Gold is over 5,100, historic highs. Oil, of course, we know is above 92 now. This combination is extremely unusual. When bond yields stay elevated while gold and oil remain strong, it signals something important. Capital is becoming defensive. Investors aren't chasing aggressive growth. They're positioning for protection. Now consider the scale of markets involved. The U.S. Treasury market is 30 trillion. The Japanese government bond is roughly 8.6 trillion. And the Chinese A share equity market is around 15 trillion. These markets are massive. Even if 1% shift in allocation can move hundreds of billions of dollars, For example, if 1% of US treasuries, it could be about 300 billion. 1% of Japanese government debt is 85 billion. That's nearly 400 billion in potential capital movement, which is 1% going either which way. Flows of this size can rapidly impact stocks, commodities, and crypto markets. Here's the key point. When yields remain high, bonds become more attractive simply by staying stable and paying decent returns. Money that might normally chase equities, tech, crypto, and real estate can instead sit safely in sovereign debt markets. So, when bond yields are low, people invest in risk assets because they're only getting a few percent. But when they're this high, what's the point of chasing risk when you can get 4% on your, millions or billions of dollars? And that's the issue here. All right. At the same time, gold hitting record highs suggests that investors also seeking protection outside traditional financial assets. That creates two simultaneous defensive flows, capital moving toward yield bonds and capital moving towards hard safety, which is gold. Historically, that combination isn't ideal for risk assets. Markets rarely break because of a single headline. They break when the cost of money stays high for too long and liquidity slowly drains from risk markets. Pressure builds quietly through higher funding costs, tighter liquidity, capital rotating into safer assets. That's when volatility appears, not instantly, but gradually. Then all of a sudden, the bond market is so large that a small shift can reshape the entire financial landscape. And right now, the signals suggest investors are becoming more cautious. Smart money is watching closely. And here is the change in those bonds. As you can see, people are kind of going into bonds for safety. Now, this is on the backdrop of the second largest monthly job loss since the pandemic. Right now, we don't have a pandemic, but we are experiencing one of the worst jobs market in recent history. Oil prices are up 60% in 4 months to a two-year new high. Gas prices are up more than 20% since December. US PPI inflation unexpectedly rising to the highest point since July 2025, and the 10-year yield, 10-year note is up 20 basis point in the past week. 600 billion is expected in AI investment. My question to you is, what would happen if this AI investment wasn't happening? Where would the US economy be? It would be absolutely in the gutter. Now, the issue here is all of this investment into AI, it is causing the biggest problem here, which is unemployment for the middle class or for white collar workers. And this is what we've been talking about for the last, 8 months, 9 months? Remember when we talked about how AI was going to replace a lot of jobs? Well, you are starting to see that now in a massive way. I know I was kind of being very dramatic about what was in store for us, but I think you are seeing that play out in absolute real time. US oil prices post their largest weekly gain on record. Like I said, dating back to 1982. I don't really know if there was a plan here or thought of creating a complete financial disaster, not here in the United States, but also globally. But we are in it now, and we cannot change where we are. And so this is not going to move on a dime. This is now $805 billion wiped out of the stock market today. Everything is red. Now, also here, you have the White House doubling down on Operation Fury, I guess they're calling it. The White House says the objectives of Operation Fury are expected to take 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks. If we continue at the pace that we are going right now, you're talking about anywhere from $8 to $10 trillion being liquidated out of the stock market. And of course, who knows what will happen to the crypto market if this continues. Markets are not stable right now, and people are starting to panic. Officials say 6 days into the campaign, Iran's naval capacity has been heavily degraded, with 30 vessels destroyed, and strikes are roughly 90% down. The issue here is Iran is still trying to strike oil facilities in the Gulf, and productivity of oil is being shut down of millions of barrels per day here. And so let me play this, and we'll get into some more information around this. But here's their plan.
I won't get ahead of the president on broadcasting any timelines. What I will tell you is what President Trump has already laid out. which is that the achievable objectives of Operation Epic Fury we expect to last about 4 to 6 weeks, and we are well on our way to achieving those objectives. Annihilating Iran's navy, we know that we've sunk more than 30 Iranian vessels and ships. Their navy has now been deemed combat ineffective. Taking out the ballistic missile threat that Iran posed to the United States and our troops and bases in the region, we have done a tremendous job. The United States military has done a tremendous job at achieving that objective thus far. Just 6 days in, the retaliatory ballistic missile strikes from Iran are now down 90%. Of course, ensuring Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon as well, and significantly weakening their proxies in the region, which we know are responsible for the deaths of Americans. And we've seen Hezbollah and the Houthis hardly putting up a fight over the course of the last 6 days. Ultimately, the president has made it very clear he wants to take out the threat of Iran to the United States, and Operation Epic Fury is well on its way to doing that.
Okay, so the issue here is if you take a look at all of the statements coming from the White House, you know, they don't really know why we're here. Like first they said, Marco Rubio said the reason that the U.S. did this was because they feared that Israel was going to attack Iran, and then we were going to get attacked because of that. And then Trump said, no, it was his idea to attack Iran, and there wasn't an issue. So they can't really get their story straight. So everyone's trying to figure out like what actually happened here. Unfortunately, this is going to continue. Now, the issue here that most people are not paying attention to, BlackRock, the same signals as in 2008, but the market is 10x bigger. In 2008, nobody wanted to see the signals. Today, the same cracks are reappearing, but in a market with over $2 trillion in private credit. On March 3rd, Bloomberg reports that leaders from Blackstone, Apollo, Ares, and Blue Owl themselves acknowledge that investors are right to be worried. Here's why. The first cracks, end of 2025, BlackRock marks a loan from 100 to 0 overnight after the company's bankruptcy. $25 million evaporated, no gradual downgrade, just 100 to 0. At the same time, Blue Owl blocks withdrawals from its fund. Jamie Dimon warns, when you see one cockroach, there are often many others. This was said a few months ago, maybe. The funds start to bleed. Early 2026, a BlackRock private credit fund loses 19% of its value in 1 quarter. The stock drops 16.7% in a single day. Several finance companies stop repaying their loans. High rates start breaking business models. Panic in the private market. February 2026, Blue Owl blocks withdrawals from a $1.6 billion fund, force sale of a $1.4 billion in loans to raise cash. The stock plunges 22% in a month. The entire sector crashes 26%, 23%, and 19% respectively. BlackRock does it again. March 2026, the second loan goes from 100 to 0 at BlackRock. Same pattern. Everything looks fine in the accounts, and then instant collapse, like a building that seems solid until the day it crumbles. The major alert 5. A few hours ago, BlackRock limits withdrawals from a $26 billion private credit fund. Withdrawal requests are $1.2 billion. Amount authorized is only 5%. The rest of the investors can't get out. Why? Because selling the loans would reveal the true price, probably much lower. The real problem, the banks are exposed, according to the Fed. 1.14 trillion in bank loans are tied to non-bank institutions like these funds. If these loans start defaulting, the losses flow straight back into the banking system. The summary, BlackRock has already marked 2 loans from 100 to 0. Funds are blocking withdrawals. Private credit giants are plunging on the stock market. Banks are exposed to about $1.14 trillion worth of issues here. The same structure as 2008, illiquid assets sold as liquid. The real question now is, are we witnessing the start of the next financial crisis, right? You mix all of these problems with private credit into the problems that we are seeing now with oil and the rest of the markets. That is a recipe for an absolute disaster shit show. Let me play this for you.
Tom, I think Inez nailed it with the stagflation call out. And here's what I'm also concerned about. Why would employers now go out there and aggressively hire this month in April against the backdrop of rising geopolitical uncertainty? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I don't see a way out of another bad employment report.
Yeah, this is what we don't need right now, right? I think that the economy is not going gangbusters like all of the data may imply, or most of the data may imply. We are not far from all of a sudden a stagnant economy led by a labor market that begins to contract. And now we have even less reason to hire. And all the costs are going to go up in the short term because oil is spiking higher. Brent's over $90 as we're talking right now. And so you're right. I think that this just furthers the paralysis in the labor market. And that is a risk. We have not seen it show up yet in declines in consumer spending or the ISM PMIs, but that can happen very quickly. And again, given the private credit worries we have, given the AI anxiety worries we have, and now the war, if we all of a sudden have to start thinking about a slowing economy, then this market is going to drop and it's going to be painful.
It's going to be painful. Man, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't seem like this was thought out very well, but that's where we are. And I was talking with a close personal friend. That friend brought something to my attention, which I had been thinking about kind of my own time here. Now that the US is distracted in the Middle East, what stops China from taking Taiwan, right? And so I think we're kind of we've overcommitted ourselves here now in the Middle East, and that is only going to bring worse days ahead. So I'll take a break there, answer some questions, but you know, you saw the data. It's where we are. There's no quick fix. There's no kind of icing on the cake here. We're in a real pickle, and I don't know what I don't really know how to process the just lapse of judgment that we've just now committed going and doing what we just did. So yeah, let's take some questions. Hang on, Snoopy. Yeah, I'm trying to hang on here. I'm just frustrated, man. Like, we just keep doing it to ourselves. Where did you send Sensei a message? Wayne, yeah, where did you send me a message, Wayne? I don't know, Wayne. Just be careful that you're actually talking to me, Wayne. Oh my goodness. What does this say? This says, I'm English. I've lived here for 16 years and I've never seen a snake or many bugs. I'm scared of guns and murders. And that's why I don't go to America and Canada. Rough. Rough. Someone says, Trump has this all thought out. I don't believe that we will be battling this as long as people think. I guess that's the hope, man. But like, even if you stopped right now, it would still take months to get the oil production to where it needs to be. And that's stopping right now. And we all know from the recent reports that this is going to go on for 4 to 5 weeks. It's just how much damage will happen in 4 to 5 weeks. And like people assume that, oh, we'll just stop, right? Everything will be fine. Hopefully Iran will stop attacking all of these different Gulf states and the oil fields. Do you think that's a possibility? It doesn't feel like that's the solution here. That's at least what they're going for, right? And so this is going to go on for a little bit of time, at least. And in that amount of time, you're pushing this, 3 to 6 months back on fixing the oil problem, or even longer. It depends how much damage is actually done to the infrastructure. If there is more taken offline, because you can't just spin it up like in a second, right? All of the storage facilities are all full. Ships are not moving, right? It's completely ground to a halt. And so oil is going to just spike, inflation is going to spike, and you can't fix that instantly. So I get that you think that he has a plan. I don't agree with you. I just don't agree with you. All right. Not worried, man. I wish I could live like you guys. I wish I could just have this, attitude of just, it's all going to be okay. I mean, I just don't see that in the data I'm looking at. Am I going to the XRP conference? I've been asked to go. I'm still deciding. I'm going to Japan for the April conference for XRP. And I think it'd be cool to go. I'm just trying to see if I can muster the energy to go to that trip and then come home and then rebalance and then go again. Are you going? let's see here. Yeah, I know. This is this person said I earned all this money and now it's going to be gone. Yeah, that interview should be actually a lot of fun. What I want to do in that interview. So, if you're not familiar, guys, on Tuesday, at the regular time, I'm going to be interviewing the head of Firelight, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I think what it would be good in that interview is to help the average crypto investor, right, the average XRP holder, understand the true potential of what Firelight is building. And if we can communicate that, I think that's going to be a great interview. You know, I want to understand, you know, how long it's taken to get them to this place. You know, they're probably one of the few companies I've seen kind of in that insurance market and doing what they're doing. And so I want to know how all of that works on a deeper level. And, you know, we'll be taking some questions from the audience. We're going to put out some probably posts on X and YouTube to see if we can gather some questions from the audience. Oh my God. Yeah. My wife has all these plans to eat places, you know, when it comes to like a trip, you know, I'm like, all right, you know, let's go. There's a few things that I want to do, you know, but she's like, I want to eat here. I want to go there. I want to do this. I'm like, okay, you know, like, sure. You know, I'm along for the ride here. I'm excited to go to the conference. You know, the conference is the main thing to go here. I want to see something, you know, ancient, something, you know, that's going to wow me. And like Japan has just so many unique things to do. It's going to be really hard to fit some of that stuff in. Brad says with chaos comes clarity, but he was talking about the Clarity Act, right? He wasn't talking about a global war. So I don't know, man. Get a hybrid car. I got a hybrid car. Actually, we have two cars. One is fully electric and the other is a hybrid. So I'm already there with you, man. I already saved a ton of money on gas. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Namiko. Yeah, I think that's what people are saying. Firelight is pretty amazing tech. Yeah, Tom. If you got some questions, Tom, send them in through email for me. Yes, I did like that. I did like that he was pushing back against the banks. You know, I hope that it is sincere and that he just doesn't like he really because he has control, right? If he tells Republicans, who cares what the banks say, just go get this done, the Republicans will go do it, right? And it really sounds like he's very sincere in wanting to deliver on the promises that he made to the crypto industry. And I think that he's been very sincere in that. You know, obviously it would have been great to get this done, you know, last month. There's things that may be out of his control, but he can put the pressure on, man, and really get it done. When do you think the Clarity Act will pass? So, Stuart, if the Clarity Act doesn't pass here in like the next month, it's probably not going to pass this year. You only have so much time on the floor of the Senate that's available to do markups and bring bills to the floor for vote. And since there's other things going on, this like we're already kind of running behind schedule here. And so they're going to try to, what I've seen over the last like 24 hours is that later this month, they're going to try to push it out of the Senate Banking Committee with just a full Republican vote. They have enough votes to push it through without Democratic support. The issue becomes when you get the full Senate vote, you're going to need Democratic support. So how do you get the bill over the finish line without Democratic support? I don't know. There's certain things that they can do. And, you know, I'm not a scholar when it comes to, you know, the Congress and the Senate. So I'm going to leave that up to the experts. But there is more pressure coming from the White House to get this done. And that's a good thing. I've seen Mikkel doesn't like me, so I don't think that's gonna go well. Him and Jake, I mean, you know, are very close, and you know, I've been very critical of some of the things that Jake said in the past, and you know, I somebody asked me months ago if I would reach out to Mikkel and see if he would you know, come on or we could, do something together. And he said, I was like, hey, would you be interested? The community is interested to do this. No. I was like, all right, fair enough. So that'll probably never happen. Yeah. So digital perspective, what's crazy? I started on digital perspective. That's where I started to learn about XRP years ago. And like, I don't know, I always was very excited to watch that content. And then like over time, it just veered into something else. And like, I started to do content myself, and I don't know, people change over time, and sometimes it's a great change, and sometimes it's a change that just doesn't align with what you're looking for. And so, I think all the XRP content creators have a lot of personality, and sometimes that personality doesn't mesh well. And so, if I ever saw Mikkel out on the street, I'd say hello and be very polite, but I just don't think he likes me very much, but which is totally fine. I have a strong personality. I get it. Yeah. So sorry about that. I should have addressed that. I left very quickly last week. And so, Luna had some breathing issues. And so like I could hear, she was not like, right now she's sleeping in her bed right below me. And so if she's not sleeping below me, I'm like, where is she? And so I could hear her in the hallway having trouble breathing. And, that's why I got up really quickly. And then it sounded like she had like something in her nose. And I don't know if she's been dealing with something recently, but she's had these kind of episodes where, she's just she can't breathe. And so, we're trying to work through that. It hasn't gotten worse, which is great. But that same day, like she had a few other episodes. And so, as you can see, I was very worried. And at that point, I'll drop everything in my life to make sure she's okay. We were in bed last night, and it gets late at night. And so, she comes over and she lays on my pillow, and we kind of cuddled together. And so she's my best friend. So I appreciate you asking though. Thank you. You want the Clarity Act. Yeah. So Paydirt, I get it, man. When people say we don't need the Clarity Act, no, the Clarity Act already passed, I believe. They want the old one. No. So the Genius Act passed. So all of this stuff with stablecoin yield was already negotiated during the Genius Act, right? Banks already had their say, and they already kind of got their way. Now, this is a way of bringing up something very old that happened last year to stall crypto adoption, because what banks fear the most here is a few things, but one of the biggest things is capital flight. People taking money out of the banking system and moving it into the DeFi ecosystem, into crypto. And even JP Morgan's own analysts say that the Clarity Act could spark another bull run, right? Just by getting it past, the FOMO from retail coming back and institutions would be a huge driving force forward. And when you say we don't need the Clarity Act, we definitely do need the Clarity Act, man. Like if it doesn't get done right now, it probably won't get done for a few years. Unfortunately, my personal opinion here, and you can agree with it or not agree with it, but we're running out of time here in this calendar year to vote on things, right? There's only a limited time here. It is a midterm year, right? And there's a lot of tension when it comes to both sides here. And if Republicans want to get this done, it has to be now in the next like 4 to 6 weeks. And if not, you're on the other end, maybe next year to do this. And if Republicans, let's say, lose control of the House, then, they might not have the ability to get their agenda done. And so anything they want to get done, they have to do it now while they have control. And so, crypto is just one piece of their overall push for the economy and things that they want to do and things that are important to them. And they're running out of time, 100%. You know, I am online 12 to 14 hours a day, you know, and I'm watching everything coming out of Washington, Senator's office, Eleanor Terrett, articles, you know, videos. I mean, everything. I am completely keyed into what's happening there, and you definitely need to get it done. Yeah, great question, guys. Thank you. Yeah, there are people calling for a lower Bitcoin. There are people calling for a $40,000 Bitcoin. Absolutely. Will it happen? Will it happen? I don't know. You know, if you stayed for the first 20 minutes of this session, you know that there's a lot of things to be concerned about, right? Like, you know, the goal here is not to panic everybody, but the goal here is to show you that there is some urgency for you to pay attention, right? I'd imagine most of the people that watch this channel are from like 35 to 65, 75 years old. And so you definitely have a retirement or 401k or some stocks, definitely have crypto. That's why you're here. And so this is 100% going to impact you and everybody around you. And having the information, you can properly prepare. And maybe that is adjusting some of your assets around. Maybe it's doing absolutely nothing, but having the information is the most important thing. And, you know, I will continue to do everything I can to make sure that you have that information. I love this. Them Muppets never seem to agree. You know what? I use the word Muppets a lot too. So I love seeing that in the chat. When will banks break? I mean, honestly, who cares? You know, I guess they do care, but you don't need the banks to push this through in the Senate. You need some support, but you know what they're saying is just their opinion, and you know you can push forward without their support if that's what you need to do. They're obviously not interested in passing the bill, right? They do not want the money to leave the system and go into the crypto system. Oh, you know what? I did want to remind everybody, very important stuff. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me play something for you. And then I need to bring up something here. I see Taurus in the chat, and he has reminded me that my passion has gotten in the way of me talking about something very important. So let me play this clip here because this is also something Morgan Stanley is going all in crypto and blockchain. Let me play this and I'll grab something else.
I think that Morgan Stanley, being the first big US bank to take this step to file to launch its own ETFs, is a huge endorsement. So we've started to see this comeback of institutional cash just in the first few trading days of the year. Finally, the surge in spot Bitcoin ETFs, which were net outflows for the last few months of 2025. And what this really signals is that Morgan Stanley, for one, has been the most progressive. They put out their 15,000 FAs pitching spot Bitcoin ETFs back in August 2024 when it was a much less popular trade. And now you're seeing BlackRock's IBIT accounting for the vast majority of the cash that's parked in those spot Bitcoin ETFs. And if I'm Morgan Stanley, I'm thinking, why not offer it myself? And they're also, through their brokerage, E-Trade, going to let customers directly trade and hold the assets themselves as well.
All right. I got a few more things I want to show you here. Hold on. I thought this was a good clip. I'm gathering something in the background. We passed the point of no return on tokenization. I thought this was a great clip. The cameraman, I don't know what the cameraman's doing with the face, like right up in people's face here, but let me play it.
Tell us about, you talked about education before. What does going to the moon look like for you? What's the future?
I think in terms of tokenization, we've passed the point of no return. So it's difficult to imagine that suddenly it would go back to settlement T+2 once we have options, the option of atomic settlement. So we've passed this point of no return. How quickly the markets will get tokenized again depends on a few factors. And you mentioned the investors being comfortable investing in digital assets within the digital ecosystem. And once you have sufficient number of investors, and then you have network effects, and this is this again fuels the growth of the market. And the second aspect is trust. And again, I would go back to education, which also is part of this, and regulations. So trust is also paramount in this context.
Yes, trust, regulatory clarity.
All right, hold on one second. I did want to share this too.
What's happening in retirement is it's happening across the entire industry. I think when you look at our industry, we've evolved to have an infrastructure which is based on individual accounts that don't talk to each other. We have individual product and service providers. And what that means is we have a very, very fragmented control and very, very fragmented views of the actual needs of an individual. What we're moving towards very, very quickly in the industry is from this siloed account-based world to a wallet-based world. And the reason that is such a fundamental shift, both for retirement industry and for investment management and for individuals as a whole, is that suddenly for the first time, all of your assets are in the same place. They're visible, they're controllable, there's essentially a single locus of control. And when something is in a wallet, it becomes software, and software is programmable. So whether that's an asset, whether that's a benefit, whether that's a liability, you can see how the wallet is slowly, or will very quickly, should I say, become the locus of control for all the activities in your life. Spending, saving, investing, everything that you do will run through your wallet. And so essentially we will all compete to service the wallet and to advise the wallet, because that will be the central point of control for every institution and for every individual.
All right, I did want to bring this up here. So next Friday, not a week from today, we are having a fireside chat. This is an opportunity to come into the Crypto Nerds Discord, hang out. We're going to have everybody on stage. I'm going to be up there answering questions, hanging out with you guys, kind of doing what we do here, but just kind of answering your direct questions. And so if you guys want to come up on stage, if you want to hang out, it's absolutely free. We would love to have you guys a part of it. There is a link here. There is a link in the description of this video. Come and hang out. You know, we're having events there on a weekly basis. Richard's in there doing stuff with Flair and how to make money. He did an event just the other day. A few people showed up. It was actually a lot of fun. And, you know, I'm posting information live in there as the day is going on. So like, as I'm seeing new things popping up around the crypto industry, if you want to get it like live and also ask some questions in there, that's the place to do it. So love to see you guys there. I appreciate that. All right, let me scroll all the way down. There's a lot of comments here. Whew. Let's see here. Goddess says central bankers do not want to lose control since the creation of the Feds. Of course, they don't want to lose control. 90-cent incoming straight off Hormuz or not. 90 cent for XRP, possible. If XRP breaks below $1.27, it'll lose support and it could fall to $1. That is very real possibility. We're talking about dogs. I love that. Everyone here has, a lot of people here have dogs or cats. Oh yeah, see here, Richard's right here. Look at that. Make sure you're following Richard's channel too, man. Trump sued Diamond and JP Morgan for debanking him. Do you think if the lawsuit is dropped, the banks stand down? I don't know if it has something to do with that. I mean, I think there was a lot of reasons back then. If you remember, they didn't just drop them for no reason. I mean, I think this was after January 6th, right? That was a very I mean, it was a very uncomfortable time. And it wasn't just like the banks, right? And then there was also the stuff with the taxes and not paying taxes and all the stuff. I mean, there was multiple reasons why it happened. It wasn't just like they didn't like him, but there could be a grudge there. You know, you could be onto something, but I don't know the personal politics and what's going into that. See, this is the great thing, right? There's a lot of pressure on Jake's theory, because if all of this goes to shit and XRP price stays the same, I guess we'll know, right? I'm excited to finally put this to rest. Is he going to be right, or was it all kind of for nothing? And I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it because people send me messages all the time saying it's time, it's happening now, you know, and they've sent me those messages for the past year and a half, and it hasn't been time, and it wasn't now. So I'm eager to end the debate whether it's going to happen or not going to happen, and I'm rooting for him. I really am. Yeah, Trump coin was probably not a good idea. You know, you lost a lot of bipartisan support for crypto, and it's a stupid reason to lose bipartisan support, right? Like, it literally, it's a money grab. That's what Trump coin was. It was a money grab, and it was not helpful. You know, I don't know who was convincing him it was a good idea, but obviously they made some money on it, and you know. Remember, you had to trade it on their certain platform where they collected the fees and stuff like that, if you remember. But yeah, that's where we are. And you also had a lot of really weird investment too. So 589. Here, let me ask you honestly, guys. You know, there's 500 of you guys in here. There's a few hundred here on YouTube, and there's 295 on YouTube, 210 on X. Do you think that Jake's theory is going to play out? Do you think he's going to be right? I honest feedback. Yes, no. I don't know. Who robbed you? Let me see here. Curtis says, I'd still be impressed if it played out without the price mooning, predicting it for years in advance. Okay, that's fair. I asked what your opinion was. You gave it to me. I shouldn't criticize it. You're right. Mickey says yes. JF says no. Richard says no. Sale says yes. Tim says maybe. Tim's the first maybe. I like it, Tim. I'm not sure. Dozen says yes. Let's see here. Jake laid out this. Why is it a surprise now? This is what he needed for the domino to start falling. Gonna suck until it takes off. I mean, it's all, the pressure's all on him, man. You know, I think this is a lot of fun. I would make content on it, but I think, you know, half the people, it's very difficult when half the people like love something and half the people don't, you know, and you know, it used to be fun to talk about, and now it's like more serious to talk about, and like I just want to stay far away from it. But I'm eager, man. I personally, I'm in the no category. I don't think it plays out like people think it's going to play out, but you know, that's just maybe you know, my thought process after being in the crypto industry so long, and just it never really works out like people think it will, you know, and it always takes another spin or a twist. And, you know, I don't know. It's just like, you know, saying that sooner or later, one day there's going to be a war in the Middle East, and then the war happens in the Middle East. I mean, you know, great. But like, is Bitcoin going to zero? Is Tether going to zero? I haven't seen the money go into XRP yet. So there's still some things that haven't played out. We got people checking in from the Netherlands. What's up, Kevin? How's it going? My man here says, I don't think it matters. XRP will be priced high eventually. Like David said, that's the speculation and pushes it to. Fair enough, man. Dude, we love to talk about crypto and pets. And, you know, pets are like everything to us. Jake's theory won't fold out. Most of the reserve carry trade has already been settled. See, like that's what I brought up. And China gets to pass their ships through the Strait of Hormuz so Japan could buy oil from China. Bold. I like it. Okay. Oh, did you guys see Yellow is launching? Hold on. I won't get to talk to you before this happens, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys all know about Yellow. Here, let me pull this up here. because you said something about Chris Larson, and I was like, oh, Chris Larson investment. Here you go. I did a video about Yellow. I don't know, maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago, and they are launching a token here, just in a few days. I think, what is it? It's on the 8th, so 2 days from now. Token for trading and platform launch. They were just interviewing Hugo Fillion, which was a great interview. Actually, I have some clips here. Let me show you this. Where's the clip of him? Actually, hold on. I'm going to get sidetracked here. The ADHD is kicking in. 1 second here. Where's the clip? Where's the clip? Where's the clip? Hold on. I still have so many things I want to tell you guys about today. Hold on. Yes. Here we go. This is it. All right. Let me play this first.
Now, XRP Ledger has recently displaced Solana as a bigger RWA chain in terms of the rankings. XRP Ledger does not have the same kind of programmability as either Solana, nor does it have the privacy that Canton offers. So what I'm really excited by, especially with the new escrow feature that has been created on XRP Ledger, is the ability for those RWA assets that are issued on the XRP Ledger to be utilized in Flare's compute layer with privacy and compliance.
Man, you got to imagine having a job where you can travel around the world and interview the most interesting people in crypto. Like that sounds like the dream job to me. Like, where do I sign up for that? Anyways, Yellow is launching, and I know some people are going to be very interested in this. If you're still participating in the crypto space and investing into different DeFi protocols and different technologies, take a look at Yellow. They are where's the other website though? They have multiple websites. It looks like they have a wait list here. Hold on, share this tab. Join our wait list to register for early access perks ahead of the launch on March 8th. So you can join their wait list here if you want to do that. Let me post this here so you guys have it directly. I don't know. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see how this goes. Why choose between a DEX and a centralized exchange when you can have the best of both worlds? So here's some of their technology. I believe it's a layer 3, right? DEX security, non-custodial smart contract law, centralized exchange speed, our engine, under 1 millisecond execution, no block delays, no intermediary, P2P final, no rollbacks. I mean, it's going to be cool, man, to see how these guys do. I'm rooting for them. They were at the Wave of Innovation event in Sydney. And yeah, I played some of the clips here the other day, right? Ashish Burla. You guys saw all that stuff. So anyways, that's going to happen, I believe, on Sunday. And I think it's Alexi's birthday. That's why. So if you guys want to support them, please do. Everybody was using MySpace before Facebook, and then Facebook took over. You guys are having a tantalizing conversation. Anna, checking in from Iceland. Anna, great to see you. How you doing, Anna? It is always nice to see you guys. Sensei, I was going to ask you about Yellow. Seem to hear a lot about it. Yeah. I mean, I met with their team. Was that yesterday? Oh my God, these days are just, if I kind of told you how my day was, you probably wouldn't believe it. But I was very impressed with their team and how they operate and just their vision. And they believe their goal is to be a top 10 cryptocurrency company, like in the top 10 on CoinMarketCap. And, Chris Larson definitely saw something in these people very early, and they are extremely connected to top industry professionals. And they've hired some really smart people and engineers. And, I wouldn't, there's some teams that show up in the crypto industry. You're like, I wouldn't bet against those people, right? They have high ambition, they have the money, they have the backing, and I'm rooting for them. Do I ever join anybody else's podcast or channels to debate or have a general XRP discussion? I have done that in the past, haven't done that recently. you know, there is a growing my team is working with some people in the Litecoin community that want to do an event where we kind of talk about Litecoin versus XRP, pros and cons, and kind of you know, what's a better network for stable coins and transactions and cross-border payments and you know, distributed ledger. And so we're trying to get more into that. You know, creating 4 videos a day, I think I've kind of taken on, you know, a lot. And, you know, that sometimes limits the time that I have to do other things like this. And so we haven't got many requests to do that. But we are starting to get a few. And we're trying to put some events like that together. I think that'd be a lot of fun. If you have some suggestions, feel free to send us an email and we'll see if we can, you know, make something work. I appreciate that. We have Dean 123. He said, so Sensei, I was watching your video from earlier. You uploaded great content as usual. Dean, always like to hear that, man. Thank you so much. Goddess says Chris Larson has 2.7 billion XRP. Yeah, he does, man. It's a lot. It is a lot. That is insane. Here you go. Northeast Lance. I love ADHD. Oh, look, a squirrel. Oh my God, Lance, you're the best. So you guys remember the movie Up, where the dog is super ADHD and the, you know, every time the squirrel runs by, the dog goes squirrel, you know? And so I went to see that, you know, movie Up a long time ago with my mom, you know, in the theaters. It's probably like 20, 30 years ago or something. And that was always an inside joke between my mom and I, because she's kind of like, you know, all over the place sometimes. And I can be all over the place sometimes. And when our conversation is kind of going off the rails, you know, one person randomly will say squirrel and then we'll have a laugh. So it was just, thank you for that. That was a nice thing. You had no idea about the story, but actually it played into something very personal to me. So thank you. And thank you for the donation. Man, I think we all have some passions and some travel in our future once things open up here. Oh, Scott's here to talk about Jake. Oh, Scott, it wouldn't be a stream without you, brother. How you doing? How you doing? We're excited, man. I know you're excited about it, so we're going to be here, man. You know, we're going to be here to talk about it. We're going to be here to speculate on it. We're going to be here to offer, you know, our wisdom and our guidance on what's happening. And you know, I don't know, man. It's we're everybody here wants a higher XRP price. And I don't think anybody here kind of cares how that happens. And I think a lot of people would love to be proven wrong, right? I think, you know, over time, you only have so much capital with people, right? You only have so much rapport and relationship. And usually that's built over a very long time. When you're a content creator, people can decide to not watch you, right? And you have to provide them value and you have to connect with them in some way. And, you know, when you promise people things, you know, just continuously, and I know now it's stipulated, it's only this, if only this, but like for a long time, it wasn't quite stipulated, right? And like you just kind of burn through some of that trust. And then people kind of get to the point where they just don't care, right? They no matter what you say, they don't want to, you know, they're not going to believe you. And so I think like that would help him kind of regain, you know, regain some of maybe what he's lost. And I think that would be really good for him. And I'm really rooting for him to be successful. Whether it's 64 days or I don't know. What is the 64 days? Like, what is 64 days from now? Hold on. What is 64 days from now? Is that like is something supposed to happen? Is he from the future? 64 days from now is May. What is it? What? 64 days from March. Oh, it's May 9th. What happens on May 9th, Scott? Corium is suspended. What happened with Corium? Let's see here. We got Naran Kumar checking. It says, "Hey, bro, I am Nareen. I think it's Nareen. If I got that wrong, I do apologize." So he says, "From India, and we expect a violent move up for XRP." Man, I love that. Keep that intensity going. Rusty, good to see you, man. Good day, Crypto Sensei. Back listening post surgery. Love the content. I heard your question. JC theory plays out not too highs he predicts. So Rusty saying good day, which is hello in Australia. He's saying that he thinks that it will play out, but just not the price. So lower price. Hey man, either way it plays out, that'd be great. It's great to see you're back from surgery, man. I hope you're on the mend and you're doing well. I know a lot about surgery, and it is never fun, no matter where you have surgery. AK Scarface, what's up, man? Out here driving around in this absolute blizzard, but I made it. Holy smack! Like where is it? Where is it snowing? I guess I'm so used to having the weather the same every single day. Here in Hawaii, it was like 64 degrees the other day. Like it was windy, and I was like, oh my god, it's so cold. I needed to go find a jacket and some pants. I haven't worn pants in probably since I went on vacation. So you get used to kind of just lounging around in shorts here, but I'm glad you're home safe, man. Oh, he misses his prediction by 64 days. You guys are confusing me now. Hey, if it happens this year, anytime, I'll be happy, you know? Bill Clayton, great to see you, Bill. How's it going? Great to see you, man. Cockroaches. Oh man, what's going on here? Oh yeah, that's right. You're in Alaska. We are on total opposites of the spectrum, man. I don't know how you do it. David dropping some knowledge here. He says 9665 banks were offering a yield of 3 to 4% on average for savings accounts, and it's now 0.05%. And the banks are not only using our money, but have choked our gain while still using our money. Yeah, David, I think you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right, dude. And that's the problem here, right? Why they're all doing this out of greed. They make billions of dollars a year off of our money, and then they don't give us anything for it. It's quite frustrating, and I think people are kind of sick of it. And I understand that frustration. Yeah, I don't know what the 64 days is, man. Someone's gonna have to explain that to me. Yeah, James, I saw this. James has a good point here. He says, now the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar are pulling their funding contracts from the U.S. because this war, because this war would go Trump. Goodbye, crypto. I think at the end there, maybe you didn't finish, but yeah, I did see they were pulling the contracts. You know, some of those contracts, I don't know if I truly believed. I mean, some of those contracts were like 5 times the GDP of that specific country. So I think some of those contracts were more like, hey, we're gonna say we're gonna offer you a lot of money. But I mean, China and other countries have done that before, where they say they're gonna do something, and there's really no recourse to force them to do the investment. But you know, it makes a good headline. You can say that it was positive, your trip. But you know, they just find ways down the line to pull it, which you're seeing now. Jay, Crypto Sensei, I haven't heard anybody reconcile how David Schwartz said that XRP needs to be a high price, but recently said on Twitter he sold XRP at 10 cents since he didn't think it'd go up. I'd have to look at the tweet, right? I think like he was joking around. I mean, he sold Ethereum. I think he was trying to put solar on his house, and he sold Ethereum at like $10 or something to do it, and it'd be worth millions of dollars today. So I don't know if he was making like a joke about that. I'd have to like see the physical tweet. But I mean, you know, David Schwartz built the XRP ledger, and like him now saying that he doesn't think XRP price would go up, it would go against like everything he said in the past, right? So I don't know if maybe if we took that correctly, but you know, we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it, man. Anna Marie says, I came across an ad from Ripple in February. They were looking to hire a software engineer in Iceland. You should go for it. I mean, if you have the skills, imagine working for Ripple. That would be so cool. I mean, that would be, man, if I entered the job market again, you know, that would be the first place that I would go look. They probably wouldn't hire me. You know, I probably don't have the skills and qualifications, but that would be incredible. I hope you get it. Hey, Sensei, what are your thoughts on X Money using XRP? So, okay, here it is. Okay, I made a video a few weeks ago. This is before I could find any real connection to X Money and Cross River Bank. There was speculation in the market, but there was no piece. There was no piece of real factual news that I could go to and say these two things are connected. Now, what I've learned over the past week is that I've seen some initial screenshots showing that in the very bottom of an X Money thing that it says, you know, FDIC Cross River Bank. So it does look like Cross River Bank is possibly involved, but I'm still waiting for like a real confirmation, right? But what I've noticed, and I can't remember where I saw this, but Cross River and Ripple were integrated back in 2014 for cross-border payments. But X Money is not the same thing. I think X Money, you know, is going to be using Visa, but also I think they're going to be using Solana USDC. Let me see if I can find that, man. Let me see if I can find that. I don't know if I put it maybe in my bookmarks. Let me see. I might have put it in my bookmarks. Yes. Look. I did save it. I mean, God, you know, I knew I was going to need it for a conversation like this, and here it is. Here it is. Look at that. Oh my God. Okay. So here's the image I was talking about. So I guess William Shatner is tweeting about this, but here's the picture. And so it looks like a balance deposit send request, and then it says your deposit is held by Cross River Bank, member FDIC. And so that's the confirmation, right? But then over here, it says Cross River Bank is collaborating with Visa and High Note to enable 24/7 USDC stablecoin on the Solana blockchain. This initiative allows faster, more efficient real-time transactions. So, you know what? Oh, shoot. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let's try to verify this real quick. It's so hard to get this actual data. Is this true? Yes or no? Can you show me articles? Real factual. All right, let me see if I can confirm this though. I personally, you know, it doesn't sound like it to me. Visa's definitely involved. I don't think XRP is involved. Now, I think you're going to be able to send people Doge and Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP. I think that's a possibility. But does X Money run on the XRP ledger? I personally don't think so. I don't think so. If that changes, I will be happy to make that video. But you know, everyone speculates that it is, at least like the most content creators on X. But it's not my personal feeling like that. That's how it's set up. Okay, here you go. Here, check this out. So I put the picture in here, right? The screenshot. It says, yes, Cross River Bank is collaborating with Visa and High Note to enable USDC stablecoin settlement over Solana, including 24/7 settlement as part of Visa's stablecoin pilot. Cross River's own newsroom confirms that Cross River and High Note launched a stablecoin settlement capability in Visa's piloting. So this is exactly that lines up with what we think is going to happen here. So personally, I think that's how it plays out. I could be wrong though, but yeah. Oh, 64 days since $100 end of the year prediction. I was wondering, like, where's the 64 days coming in from? Like, I was like, are people from the future? Do they know what's going to happen in 64 days? Thank you. Thank you for helping me understand that. It is crazy that somebody is keeping track of how many days it's been, you know? But hey, I get it. Yeah, I think appreciate that, Ray. Thank you, man. Does the world feel safer now? Probably not. No. No, it probably doesn't, man. Unfortunately, it's not good, man. So Brian here, Brian says, Sensei, where do you see H-bar going? I think H-bar has a real shot at doing something special, right? It always comes down to like how many tokens are circulating, how many are being used. And I think they have very unique technology that enables them to scale to, you know, tens of thousands of payments per second, probably even higher than that. And it's very impressive, the council and you know, people that are building. And that's why I've started making more content on it, because I personally have been buying some more H-bar. And you know, eventually, I mean, if we're talking after mass adoption, I think $1, $5, $10, I think probably higher. You know, but how long does that take? Right? You know, it's 10 cents now to $10, 100x. Is that possible? Yeah, probably. It's all going to come down to how many tokens are circulating, you know, how many can you lock up in the ecosystem, and how many transactions and development is happening on the network. That's really what it's going to come down to. But I think it's one of those unique blockchains that is adding capabilities. And, you know, I mean, there's only really a few things that I think are going to go long now at this point. Like, I think a lot of the crypto market is just, I think the time for like money grabs and like, we got a technology, it's going to reshape the world, but really it doesn't have any partnerships. It doesn't have a really good team. Like, a lot of this stuff is going to completely fail. A lot of it is. And I think that only the stuff that has tremendous value and tremendous partnerships and has been chosen already on a massive scale, that's really gonna be the stuff that works out. You know, is certain stuff gonna slip in and slip by and be very successful? Absolutely. But I think the days of just throwing money at anything in the crypto market and making money, I think those days are pretty much over. And when you get regulation, you're not going to be able to launch like half of the stuff, right? It's really going to be, it's going to be a regulated market. And we're really, it's what we need, because right now you have all of this money spread out. Everybody believes what they're invested in is the future, right? And maybe a lot of them are correct, but a lot of the stuff that people believe are the future are just, you know, money grabs. And, you know, I've seen so many things fail in the last 5 years. I can't even keep it straight. I've seen thousands of projects fail at this point, right? And you just got to be very careful. You know, they're not here to help you. They're here to absorb as much value, you know, value extraction as they can. And you know, there's only so many cross-border solutions or bridge assets or things that have real utility that'll solve, like derivatives market or things like that at a large scale, right? Like, look at Hyperliquid. Like, Hyperliquid went into the top 25 in under a year or something insane, right? Because it solved a really big use case. And so there's going to be projects like that are very successful. But I think for every one successful project that makes it to $1 billion market cap, there are 99 others or 999 others that fail, right? So just got to be careful. Taurus is very clever. That man's got some skills. What's my take on quant? You know, I am not a quant deep diver. You know who's really, really intelligent on quant? Oh God, what's the guy's name? Ooh, I can't remember his name. I do apologize. He's an XRP content creator. You know, he's pretty. Let me see. I'll be able to find him. Give me a second here. Oh, Apex. This guy probably knows way more about quant. Jesse. He covers XRP quant utility tokens. I mean, I'm really not your guy here for quant. I'm not following quant or tracking it or excuse me. Sorry, I didn't show you the right account. This guy. Let me post it down below. You know, I don't agree with everything he says. You know, I think some of the stuff that you know comes from you know his deep beliefs in certain things. But he's definitely extremely knowledgeable. Onondo, yeah, I think Onondo is going to help tokenize a lot of the securities. I think they're going to be very successful too. Onondo, Flare. I've seen a lot of good information about Sui, even though Sui's been taking a hit. Sui started pretty quiet, though they're not much for hype generation for what I've seen, but they have the tech, in my opinion. Yeah, they do. Well said. Riots, what's up? And guys, just you know, resharing that you know, next event here that we're going to do is going to be inside of Cryptonaires. You know, make sure that you join next Friday. We're going to be there doing a chat, answering questions. You know, there's people online here. We'd love to have you a part of that community. It is free to join. So make sure that you jump on in there. I'm sure Taurus can share the link again here for me. Scott, so hold on. Help me understand this, Scott. Where is XRP's price right now, Scott? It's at $1.34. He's right about what exactly? The carry trade is still not doing what? So like, what was he right about oil spiking? Is that what he's right about? Scott, man, you got to be careful, man. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. You gotta be careful not to drink the Kool-Aid, man. We definitely like to drink the Kool-Aid in the crypto market. We gotta be careful. Gotta be careful, guys. You know. Who is Jim Jones? I don't know who Jim Jones is. Yeah, I mean, I bought what 105,000 Flare for $1,000 the other day. And I bought like over 10,000 HBAR for $1,000 the other day. That was nice. If XRP goes to 72 cents, I can't imagine how it's going to devastate a lot of people. It's going to devastate a lot of people. You know, cool whip. Is that what we're saying? We're saying cool whip. Jim Jones, the rapper? Yeah, I don't know which Jim Jones. Grape Kool-Aid. You know what was really good in Brazil? They have grape juice. Like it comes in it looks like a milk container, but it's juice. Oh my God, man. I love that. It's so good, dude. I'd back up the truck at 72 cents Curtis would probably go rob a bank at 72 cents, man. But what is he right about though? Help me understand. Please help me understand. What was he right about? Oil spiking? I mean, I was right about the jobs market, inflation, a bunch of things, but like I don't sit here and like, toot my own horn. Being right about one thing doesn't like, there's a whole thing that has to play out. And from my understanding, non like 99% of it hasn't played out yet. So, people like to go celebrate before the job is done. You don't go have a party. You don't say somebody was right until the job is done. All right. Like I don't know why we have gone so far off the deep end with some of this stuff, but we are off the deep end, right? You wait. You don't claim victory until you are victorious. All right. Read OSOK's message. Hold on. Let me scroll up. Oh man, can you just send it to me on Discord? I don't know. There's a lot of messages. Can you snapshot it and just send it to me on Discord? If I could only buy 3 different cryptocurrencies, which one? Right now, XRP. I mean, come on. Gotta drink my own Kool-Aid, right? Flare. I think Flare is super undervalued right now. How do you only pick 3? Ooh. H bar? I mean, I don't know. It's so hard. Like, how do you you put XLM in there? Do you put Chainlink in there? Do you put maybe not Cardano? Maybe not Cardano. I don't know, man. That's going south pretty quick over there. I don't know, man. It's so hard to just pick 3. Yeah, exactly. Job's not done. K-Dot, what's up, dude? Love to see you there, man. Bringing the fire. All right, Ariana says Jim Jones was a cult leader. Oh, and had his followers drink the poison, the Kool-Aid. That's Jim Jones. Okay. Yeah, guys, listen, we all want to see higher prices, but like, come on, man. Just we have to have our reality based on facts that we can see, right? Like we all want to believe that something truly incredible is going to happen, but for that to happen, like a catastrophe has to play out, right? And so like, I can't sit here and get excited about, I mean, his structure is laying out a total financial collapse and catastrophe for people. I can't get on board with how get excited for that. I can hope for higher prices one day. Just be careful, man. Just be careful, guys. I feel like we're all a little gullible sometimes, and we just be careful. Rob says that ridiculous claim of $700 per XRP with all the market manipulation, who knows? I, however, believe XRP will never see those heights. If you had $600 Flare H bar, ooh, I think Flare has a bigger opportunity at this time just because the airdrop ended. And if you look at FXRP, like how much FXRP has been, bridged over, February 18th, I believe, right around there, they crossed 100 million. I looked this morning when I did a Flare video, it was 122 million. So within like 3 weeks, they've already gained another 20%. That is starting to, pick up dramatically. And if they're even remotely successful in bringing billions of XRP onto the Flare ecosystem, that is going to really do some really well. Oh, is that Crypto Erie? Canton. You know what? I should have thought of Canton. Of course. If that is the real Crypto Erie, it is great to see you. I am one of your biggest fans. But Canton, that was pretty smart. So, all right, let's substitute this. XRP, Flare, Canton. That's probably the strongest. You're right. When it comes to like real institutional adoption, I think what they're doing 300 billion a day in the repo market, right? They are massive, and they are all backed by the biggest banks and institutions. Well said. See, that's why you have brilliant people around you. Love that. We should talk more about Canton. It's real. Oh, it's great to see you, Erie. I hope you're well. I'll see you in Japan. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. I really am. Bet the house steward. What is steward buying? Oh, you know what was big here? Let me show you this. Something big happened this week, just the other day, that we haven't yet talked about. Here you go. This was actually a pretty big announcement. Okay. So this came from the OCC. Let me just make sure I'm sharing the right information. I am. Great. The capital rule in technology neutral and eligible tokenized security should generally receive the same capital treatment as a non-tokenized form of security under the same capital rule. I know that sounds like jargon, but let me just dig into this a bit. It reduces one of the biggest regulatory frictions for banks to adopt tokenized products. So incrementally bullish for infrastructure providers such as Ripple, as well as other companies in the space doing tokenization. This is like Securitize. This is Onondo. I'd imagine there's a bunch of different companies, doing tokenization. I'd imagine Canton. But the FCC, the OCC, the Fed, and the FDIC say an eligible tokenized securities gets the same regulatory capital treatment as the equivalent in the traditional security. They explicitly call the capital rule technology neutral and say that using permission or permissionless blockchains does not change the capital treatment. Banks still must apply the normal risk management and comply with all other laws when holding tokenized securities. So, I mean, what's crazy though? I mean, just look here. Look at the prices of the crypto market, right? You would not think that this asset class is having news like that, where you have the three biggest regulators that deal with banks in the United States are giving a green light for tokenization, right? And this is just one of 100 different announcements that we've seen over the last 6 to 12 months, building the road for blockchain innovation to grow and flourish and really take over the financial system. I mean, you take a look at Paul Atkins, the head of the SEC, one of the most powerful regulators on the planet, some would argue the most, right? He will tell you that over the next 2 years, he used a couple is 2 years, that he believes that all of these assets will be on blockchain. If you look at Nadine Shakar from the DTCC, she'll tell you that they're trying to tokenize $100 trillion in assets over the next few years, right? They're all telling you the same exact thing. People just need to pay attention and listen, right? And when you take a look at the current prices of the market, it doesn't reflect that transition that you are seeing right now, right? It is an absolute honor and a joy to have this privilege to be able to buy these assets before they appreciate. Now, it might take longer than people would have imagined, right? And we all want to see higher prices. But the truth is, you have to lay the framework to get to those utility prices. And that framework is being put in place. I look forward to it. I saw you out to dinner at the Wave of Innovation. You were with Hugo. There was a bunch of other people there. I think I covered it in a video a few days ago, but it looked like you were having fun. You were in the back. You were in the back of the photo on the left side. Axelar. So I haven't been tracking what's going on with Axelar. I know it did. Who poached like the top Axelar team? There was another crypto company that came in and poached some of their top talent. I can't remember which company it was though, but I think the token price did go down after that happened. Lee, good to see you, man. Good morning, Sensei. And everyone here. It's an early Saturday morning here in England. It's 1:27 a.m. Love the live show. Lee, it's so great to see you, man. Thank you for being up in the middle of the night and spending this time with us. It's an absolute honor, man. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you have a great weekend. I really do. That was the Circle team. Oh, man. I mean, I guess when you have the money, you poach the best talent. And I mean, that's kind of, that's Ripple too, right? They can afford to hire the best people. And, I don't know whenever I see like Brad Garlinghouse or Monica Long talk about, the industry and what Ripple's doing, they talk from a place of passion and love and creativity. And there really are kind of building the building blocks for the industry. And then, when I look at like Michael Saylor or Tom Lee, they really are the people that are like, they're selling you something, right? I don't know. I just think there's a difference between, certain people in the blockchain space and, people that I look up to and respect. And I don't know. Michael Saylor's got a ton of incredible, knowledge and does all these things, but he's always just shoving Bitcoin down people's throats. And I mean, he's going to be right eventually here, but right now it's probably really painful to see. David, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Lee, what does a traditional weekend look like in England? I mean, I'm trying to imagine what I do with my wife on the weekends, and it's kind of, go eat, maybe we go to the arcade and play some games or something. I don't know. What do people do? Like, do you guys go to museums? Like what is the standard in England? Oh, damn. Look at this. Circle is the girl next door of the industry. Every neighbor wants a piece. Damn. Mike, thank you. Just got a haircut. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you too. Don't wear your watch in England? I mean, is that because there's like, is that because there's like crime, or is that like bad luck to wear a watch? I don't know. Like what is the don't wear a watch in England? So Bill says, do you guys write off your losses? Bill, I think you have to, right? Yeah, of course. You got it, man. Write off everything you can, man. Wear your concealed carry in England. I don't think they allow you to do that, man. I mean, I haven't spent too much time in England, but when I watch, a few police shows, I know that you don't really see too many people carrying guns. So Lee says, catching up with friends and family. I wear a very expensive watch, so you'll be fine. Oh, Lee is balling. Lee says, I got this. Yeah, England politics is hard to follow. And maybe that's how they feel about our politics, but I just can't, I get lost. Yeah, they have to call in like an armed response unit, right? Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's better, man. Like here, Everyone's got a gun. There's more guns than people in my country. There's 300 something million people and there's 400 million guns, which is crazy. Yes, like I don't know if they're scammers. I think they're just, they're so involved in the price of the token now, right? Like if it doesn't do good, they have board of directors and investors to answer to, and they need XRP. I was gonna say they need XRP to go. You know what? I think in my brain there, I think I'm just so tired today that I put Michael Saylor, Tom Lee, and somebody else in the XRP community in the same bucket, and I didn't mean to do that, but I did that, and that was just random. So I do apologize. I don't know what was going on there. I think I'm just tired. But everyone's trying to get you to buy something, right? Just gotta be careful. Jim Jones, the movie, you gotta watch it. Is it on streaming? Like, can I get it? Can I get it on streaming? And I don't know. Someone's saying here the UK is screwed. I had an aunt, and my aunt passed away a few years ago. But she would come visit in California, and she was from Ireland but lived in England. And she would her name was Irene, and she was awesome. She was she had a lot of personality. And she said that she voted for Brexit. And years later, she said that she regretted it. And I don't know, like, was that one of those things that kind of started kind of the slippage there? I'm not too much into what happens in the politics in the UK, but I felt like that was like a big piece of history that maybe caused some issues with the economy there. Lee says, I can assure you that with the UK is not screwed at all. We are a strong island. I'd love to hear that, Lee. I think, Lee, I think people, from all over, they hear things or they see things online, and, they don't really know what's going on, in that specific place of the world, right? Like all I can do is speculate what's going on in the rest of the world from the things that I see, on Twitter of all places. But you got to be very careful on what you see on Twitter. But I think you get what I'm saying here. We got a birthday in the house. TR, happy birthday, man. I hope you get one. I hope you have a good one. So question about Onondo. I think Onondo, I think their first summit that they did. I was waiting for more to come out of that summit. I thought there was going to be some bigger announcements. I think they have an incredible advantage right now in the industry. They're well positioned. They're well connected. I think they're going to be extremely successful. When does that success come? I think that success comes obviously with regulation, but you're starting to see, tokenization happen in real time, and how much of that can they capture is really going to set the tone of how well the token price does. So, do I own some Onondo? I do, but it's a very small amount. It's not like, it's not like an XRP bag or something that, I could say like, hey, I own a decent amount of this, right? And so I don't follow it as well or as much as maybe some other people do that have a much bigger bag in Onondo. But they have the money, they have the team, they have the connections. They should do very well. I think we're all screwed at this point, man. I don't know anywhere on the planet that everybody's got it figured out, right? I think that we live in a time that everybody believes that somewhere else is better than where we are. And, I think people just need to go out and experience the world and find a place that makes them happy, right? And that takes time. That takes money. And, you know, it's difficult. So just got to deal with what we have, guys. Got to deal with what you have. Drama does sell. Drama does sell. Very well said, man. You went on a Hawaiian cruise? Yeah. I mean, you know, we picked a good place. I used to, like when I was younger, I used to get you know, island sickness, you know, because it's only like 25 miles by like, you know, 35 or something. You know, you can drive around the whole island if you wanted to. Well, technically you can't drive around the whole island. You get to a point where the road has eroded, like it's gone. But like you could go to one point and then drive back all the way around to another point and almost cross the whole island. But at this point in my life, you know, I'm you know, I stay a few miles around from the house. I don't venture off too much. And you know, the weather's easy on my body and the food's good and the people are chill. Yeah. Honolulu's dope. Crypto Prince, where's your significant other? Great to see you. How you doing? Oh, Broderick, that's so nice of you, man. Thank you. Good to see you. I hope you're well. So real talk here. I've been on a lot of vacations since I was a kid, right? A lot of it is like Disneyland, you know, Mexico, stuff like that. The most fun I've ever had was on a cruise. Like the most relaxed I've ever been was on a cruise. I think people, unless you've been on a really good cruise, I don't think people realize what they're missing. Like that, if I could have it my way, I would just do like a 30-day or 60-day cruise around the world or something like that, you know, and see all the places. I think that is probably the way to travel. Island, yeah. Well, it's like there was another term for it. I'm just too tired. I can't remember what it is. Oil spiking. What's going to happen next, Scott? What do you mean? What's going to happen next? Did you watch the first half of the show? What's going to happen is inflation is going to spike. Everything that you buy is going to be more expensive, and it's just you're going to have a stagflation environment. Economy's not doing great. You probably started the war because you wanted something to blame the economy on, which I get. And that's where we are, man. Things are going to be more expensive, unfortunately. And, you know, we're going to spend billions of dollars now on this instead of investing into what we need to be investing it in, which is America. So good luck. Dude, you know what it was? Oh God, what was the cruise ship? My mind is blank. Hold on. Let me ask my wife. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Hold on. Not Royal Caribbean. Oh, Celebrity. It was Celebrity. Celebrity Cruises. That was, dude, it was just so nice. Yes, here. The boat. Oh my goodness. This is what I wanted to do with my vacation this year, but my wife talked me into something else. But yeah, these boats are just so nice. Okay, I need to stop looking at that. I'm going to get in trouble here. Wind up booking an extra vacation or something. Island of Kauai is my favorite vacation. Hey, we're going to have to, you know, when things pop off here, we're going to have everyone come over for a trip here. Norwegian cruise, I've heard that's a really good ship too, like a cruise line. I'm entertaining on a Norwegian cruise ship. So that means like you're working on the ship. You're traveling all over. Is it all over the world or is it specific region? Do you enjoy it? Been on 3 cruises? Yeah, man. I'm just, as we're talking about this, I am wanting to go back. I think it can be. I think it can get out of control. I think the administration needs to know when to stop and make a deal. And I think the pressure, see Trump doesn't look at economic data. Like he doesn't look at the jobs. Like he knows it's there, but he values the economy as the stock market. That's what his metric is on how successful or not successful the country is doing. It's the stock market, right? Remember, like when the stock market hit all these, 50,000, that's all you heard about. Okay, so if that is going to continue to take a hit, that is the pressure that he is going to get from his billionaire friends, right? I mean, if you look at some of the gatherings that he has at Mar-a-Lago, I mean, it's, billionaires row, right? And that is going to affect the people around him the most. And so that is where the real pressure is going to come from. It's not going to come from middle class paying more for groceries and complaining about gas and things like that. It's going to come directly from the pressure from the people closest to him. So how low will it go? And what will that pressure look like as it mounts? And that's what will get them to stop. Now, the issue here is Israel's dragged in the United States here. Whether I think Netanyahu, this is my personal feelings here, I think he talked Trump into it, right? And we're here. And Israel's not going to want to stop. And there's all of these reasons why they can't stop, but they're not going to want to stop. Can the US find the off-ramp, right? And how long will that take? If you put boots on the ground, it's done. You cannot put boots on the ground. But can you do regime change without putting boots on the ground, right? Like you do not want to be in another situation where you're having to move people and supplies around the entire world into a region that is hard to do it. And you don't want to be in a position where you're in too deep. And maybe we already are in too deep. It's crazy because it is an election year. You would think he would have waited until after midterms, but we're here. And so they have to be successful, because if they're not successful, if it goes the wrong way, it'll hurt Republicans in the midterms, no matter what. And so you have to have a successful operation. What does success look like? I don't even think they could tell you at this point. But we are reaching a point of kind of like no return on oil and the cost of goods and inflation. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. I would imagine this is probably one of the key reasons too. Absolutely. That's a complete and total catastrophe as well. Just completely fumbled. And I don't know. I don't know how you take all of that extra time to not redact the victims' names, and then you redact the people that were complicit. And that's still not going to be resolved. But this is probably one of those things. All right, listen, we could talk about this until we're blue in the face. The truth is, it has been a long week. I really appreciate you. Listen, next Friday, we're not going to be doing this chat here on YouTube. We're going to be doing it in the Cryptonaires Discord. I'd love to see you guys there. I hope you guys can join. It's absolutely free. The link is down in the description here. We're going to have like a kickoff gathering. There's going to be some giveaways, and I'll be there to, answer questions directly. If you want to come on stage, you want to put your video on, it'll be just fun to kind of meet you guys there. So show up, support me in the community. I'd really appreciate that. And I hope each and every one of you have a fantastic weekend. You're able to spend some time with somebody you love. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for growing and learning with me every day. It's an absolute honor to spend this time with you guys. All right. I hope, even though we might disagree on certain things, that we're all on a path here forward together. And it's incredible to have your support. And I just really appreciate you guys. All right. All right, guys. Aloha. Peace out. All right. Let's go, Luna. Let's do it.